StarCraft fans. It's Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Today going to be a Patreon cast between and Bishop here on Neo Sylphid. It's an RJB cast. Top right, we've got our yellow Zerg player. It is and in the bottom left, it is Bishop. Two excellent players, two younger, up-and-coming players who play StarCraft very, very well. I cast a game from maybe a couple weeks ago now, but this is going to be a Patreon cast, so time has no meaning. If you're watching this the week of December the 12th, thank you very much for supporting me at patreon.com/FalconPaladin for at least $1 a month. You can watch this earlier than anybody else who watches it on YouTube, and if you're watching this in the month of January, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. I'm here 5 times a week with Brood War content. Alright, what's going on? What are we doing here today, boys? Anything crazy? No proxies from the Terran. It's not a bad map for it. There's only 3 places to spawn, so your chances of finding your enemy are about 1 in 2. I think that's how the math works out there. On the other side, it looks like is more interested in going for a hatch first. So again, on a 3-player map, a little bit more risky than a giant 4-player map like Fighting Spirit. But he's getting away with it. I think he's going to be fine. There's no proxies coming. I mean, it's not like it's command center first from Bishop or anything, but any Marine pressure is not going to be much to do. Not going to be able to do much of anything here against this 12 Hatcheroonie. So gets it tossed down. Overlord scouts the right direction, which is a nice win for here. Is fun to say. Gotta admit, for a player name, it's nice. It's nice not to have to trip over it. It's just So SEV is going to scout out, and based on that Overlord trajectory, he's like, okay, so top spawn for the Zerg player. He's getting that pool. He is getting that gas at 10 supply. And everything is kosher. Everything is just fine for both players right now. No mistakes made. Timings are good. Overlord comes in for the scout, sees the barracks is just finishing at home, so that's good news. And the SEV checks and says, okay, that's definitely a hatch first play. Wondrous, wondrous. So far, everything is fine. Yes, I am a little bit sick. I do sound under the weather here, but I'm getting better. I'm casting this like way back on December the 4th. So, I mean, by the time you watch this, odds are I'm feeling better. So I just did a whole bunch of casting for like 3 days where I was sick, and that's what you're going to hear in some of these casts. But just know I'm speaking to you from the far past, from the far reaches of 2021. Now, oh, it just feels like yesterday 2019 was ending, and I was like, 2020 should be a better year, and then it wasn't, right? Man, it feels like yesterday 2020 was ending, and I was talking about how 2021 might be a better year. And I don't know, was it better than 2020? Possibly. Are we really coming up on 2 years on this whole COVID thing? Good grief. Anyway, yeah, so if you're watching this in 2022, I hope things have improved. Odds are they probably haven't. But, you know, that's just how things are these days. I'm just used to it. Nice snipe on that Overlord, though. Anyway, going right into a factory for Vulture production. We might just going straight mech here from Bishop, which I can definitely appreciate. It's just nice. It's nice the Terran has the option to go from mech opening or a bio opening that just goes into like a 8 racks with science vessel type stuff, or you can start by making a ton of Marines and Firebats and medics and stuff, and then just transition into mech later. It can work. It can be very strong. So expansion on their way from Le Terran player. We are working on an armory here too. Oh yeah, I mean this is meching it all the way, boys and girls and undecideds. We're gonna set up next to this weird looking skeleton. That doesn't look like anything. Like, what world are we on that this isn't Terran, Protoss, or Zerg, right? What is that thing? Other creatures exist in this universe, that's for sure. I believe that's how that works. Spire coming in, not surprised by this at all. So we're probably going to see the Goliath defense against the Mutas here on this map, which I don't know, kind of feel like we've seen fairly often recently. I mean, Goliaths only do half damage to Mutas, but they do have the range upgrade, they have the range benefit, and then the upgrade they can get to even benefit further, etc., etc., so they could be pretty good against Mutalisks. And yeah, so the armory's done, so we can start Goliath production. That's exactly what we're doing. Once we have the 100-100 for said Charon boosters, we'll get that thing started too. Oh, hang on, just kidding. We want to get an engineering bay first. Okay, for turrets, I suppose. Or an upgrade started. I don't know. I feel like Charon boost is a pretty good upgrade to have at this point. Right, and there we go. Charon boost gets started. Excellent. Très bien indeed. All right, well, I think we know how this is going to go for the next few minutes anyway. It's going to be Mutalisks against Vultures, which are great for the Mutas and bad for the Vultures. It's going to be Goliaths versus Mutas, which can be good depending on the positioning involved here. If the Mutas are right on top of the Goliaths will die. If the Goliaths can get some real nice hits off from distance, then the Mutalisks will have a bad time. That's what it comes down to. Floating barracks up to see, I don't know, if anything's... Mutas are going to come from this direction. That's why we have turrets up, though. It's for that very purpose. If Mutalisks decide to show up unannounced, which they are always unannounced. Yep, see, taking some hits. The Mutas are. They're not happy about it. But Charon boost isn't done yet. They killed a couple Marines anyway. Charon boost almost done. +1 vehicle weapons almost done. There it is. There's that beautiful blue. I don't know that I'll ever forget what it felt like when Brood War came out 6 months after StarCraft 1 had launched, and they just had this. The Goliaths had the blue and the Valkyries had the blue, and I was just like, oh, this is such a pretty upgrade to StarCraft. It was a good time. I was like, oh man, Goliaths shoot further? I was hyped, man. I was hyped for that. I wasn't really hyped for Valkyries because I was all, I don't know. But Goliaths having extra range was fantastic. And I'd already fallen in love with Guardians from StarCraft 1, so I was like, oh no! They gave Terran a great answer to Guardians. Boo! I was sad about that. But they looked cool anyway, and when I played Terran, it was fine. Yeah, additional factories. There's really no reason to go back into Bio once you started with Goliaths. So, I mean, that's something that obviously Hum is aware of. He doesn't have a third base, which I'm honestly concerned about here. Like, he's got 2 macro hatches, right? He's got one at the natural, one in the main. But the fact that he doesn't have a third base yet is extremely concerning. Does it not feel like he can take one? He's kind of got map control here. The Mutas are kind of keeping the Goliaths pinned in. You'd think he'd have a third base by now, but here we go. At 8 minutes, we're going to get this thing started over on the right side. So it's late. I don't necessarily like it. But, you know, third base better late than never, traditionally. Going a lot of Hydralisks, which are good against Goliaths. Very good against Goliaths. Less good against Siege Tanks, which we're working on Siege mode, and Siege Tanks are in production. And we have Burrow done, so look at this action. Got a Ling burrowed here. Got a Ling burrowed here. So when the army moves out, the burrowed Ling will see it. That is great. I like getting Burrow for Zerg. We don't see it a whole lot in this game. But it's a good upgrade to get. And, I mean, not crazy expensive. It doesn't take too long either, so... Alright, so Hydra's out. Little bit of coughing going on here, but I do feel better today than I did yesterday, and hoping I feel much better tomorrow. That'd be nice. SC, man, still using SCVs to scout. I guess probably your fastest unit here. So sees the third base, knows it's not a crazy 2-base all incoming, which is probably a bit of a relief for Bishop here. That's not what's happening. But yeah, hit that like button if you're enjoying the cast so far with a sick Falcon Paladin, a little more subdued than usual. Third CC on the way for the Terran, which the Mutalisks should probably be able to scout, but they're kind of taking the long way around, so as to avoid the Goliaths, you know. So they kill a couple SCVs, building supply depots, slowing down the macro from just a little bit anyway. Hiding Overlords in the top right is a pretty smart idea, since they just have to hide against Goliaths at this stage, and there's no Valkyries or anything. Spider-Mine's getting researched here in about 10 minutes, and yeah, I mean, other than the Mutas kind of hanging around, there hasn't been anything for Bishop at all. He isn't pushed. He's really just defending. All right, +1 attack is done for these Hydras. This is a lot of Hydralisks, too. I mean, the Hydra Muta attack here is going to be pretty strong. If that's what he's going to do. I think we're going to meet here on the field of battle. As Bishop's moving out, his tanks are sieged up. Again, attacking in a situation where tanks are sieged is probably not what you want with these Hydralisks. But, see, when the tank's unsieged to move out, if you can jump on him then... See, there's a burrowed Ling in here. You see they're moving. Is he trying to backstab? He's like, yes, move out. He doesn't have any detection with him, though, and that's going to hurt against these Spider Mines. My gosh, there are so many Goliaths. The Mutas are just like, they're dying all over the place here. Yeah, the Mutas are kind of fulfilling what they were meant to do, which is keep the Terran pinned on 2 bases for a while. It's 40 to 39 workers here for him. He is working on just more and more Hydralisks. This is going to be just a Hydra-style attack. With +1 attack, the mech has 1-1, though better upgrades. And 4 siege tanks are starting to get a little bit scary for these Hydras. So, Muta's on the left side. Hydra's coming from the south with that tank fire. Oh, high ground. Siege tank. Okay, siege tank's firing. Bit of a surround here, which we like to see, but it's not enough. It is not enough there. Tries to go for the top side, bottom side attack. He has to retreat from the bottom side. And he gets killed on the top side. Trying to engage again here, but this is not enough. I like the Hydra count, but the siege tanks are largely just getting free hits off. This one took a couple hits, but these are fine. 3 kills, 2 kills. 6 kills on that one, 2 kills on that one. This Hydra stuff, it'd be fine if it was just the Goliaths, but it is siege tanks more and more now. And suddenly, Hum's in a lot of trouble. He's making more Hydras, because what else is he going to do right now? He can't really go Mutas, because the Goliath count is still pretty high. And look at that third base up and running for Bishop here. Can the Zerg player get a 4th? Because he needs one. He needs one right away. We're working on a starport, too, for that science vessel play. With a radiate especially. Do, 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 do. 112 to 93 supply. Bishop has an overall supply lead. And some of that... Man, look at this whole surround thing. Wow, alright. So we're just going to try to go from a 3... Wow, did that work? Dude, the 360 surround angle Gosu maneuver from Hum totally worked. If he'd come from one direction, I don't think that would have worked as well for him, but he came from every angle. That was a full encircling of the Terran army. That is so hard to pull off. I don't think I've seen many Zerg players do that, even Jaedong. Get a full 360 surround that comes in and is controlled perfectly like that. So it comes in and meets in the middle, right on those tanks. Incredible stuff. Absolutely disgustingly sick stuff there. He wins that battle, gets a Queen's Nest, starts a 4th base. He's feeling very good now because the Terran tank count got reduced and reset. Ay caramba. Absolutely great play from Hum. He was in trouble, and I really do think it was tactics, and it was execution of those tactics that won that battle for him. It wasn't just the Hydras. He didn't have... I don't think he had enough Hydras to win in just a frontal assault, let's go kind of a thing. He still doesn't have overlords with his army, which is like, you know there's spider mines out, right? This is a meching Terran. Could we just... He's getting pneumatized carapace, so the overlords are kind of working on it, I guess. We've got some Scourge patrolling up here just in case a dropship shows up. That's good preparation from whom for sure. Gamete Meiosis. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is him going for the queens? If he's going for the queens, there's about a, I want to say here, like a 1 in 10 chance it's going to work based on performance on my channel. It's like 1 out of every 10 times a Zerg player tries to go queens against a meching Terran, does it actually give them a win? More often than not, the queens, you know, they kill 1 siege tank, and then they're dead supply for like another 3 minutes. It's just... It is traditionally not enough. We've seen it work, though. We've seen it work in the hands of players like Effort. We've seen it work in the hands of players... Who else has done it on the channel? I'm trying to remember who are these Zerg players. I think Soxery's pulled it off, but yeah, not many. Not many Zerg players have done this at all, and the Gamete Meiosis just tells me that's what it is. Even with Gamete Meiosis, you can't cast Bond Ruling more than once, but it just reduces the time to when you can cast it again, which is stupid. Hey, we've got overlords now. But look, this 4th base is up and happily running for Bishop. So Bishop's macro... Actually, you know what? He lost his 3rd, so this is his new 3rd. Okay, and there you go. 3 queens on the way. Do I feel good about this? No! I don't know. Anytime I see a player do something that I just haven't seen work very much in StarCraft, I question why they're doing it. That's all. Hydras trying to engage with, you know, the +1 siege tanks. They almost have +2. And there's involved spawn Broodling. Yeah, I mean, the reason we don't see this attempted is, 1, it doesn't work very often, and 2, it's just so expensive to get to. You have to get the upgrade for the queens for their energy. You have to get the spawn Broodling upgrade. Again, queens can't cast spawn Broodling more than once before they have to wait for an energy regen. It's just bad, but 143 to 122 supply is pretty good from his macro's been kind of through the roof here. He's getting a 5th base now. Bishop, he needs to get a really good engagement with these tanks or he's just in trouble. And traditionally how this works with mech is, you move out with your siege tanks and you siege up on a base. He hasn't been able to do that today, and if you can't do that with your mech, you're not going to be a Zerg player. If you just sit back and turtle up on 3 bases, the Zerg will expand a million times. And just make good trades with you and send in queens to spawn Broodling your tanks over and over again, and then you'll run out of money and then you lose. Nobody wants to watch that. So come on, Bishop, let's go. Let's move out with some siege tanks, move out with some Goliaths. Let's kill some overlords. +2 attack is done for those mech. +2 attack is done for the Hydras too. And where are we hiding our queens today? Here they are. Here are our pretties, our ugly, ugly flying queens. Who fly through methods unknown to me and to anybody else. At least overlords, you can say they have like helium in their gas bag things, but I don't see anywhere on the queen there can be floatable gas. Buoyant gas, I don't know. These Hydras are dead. There's no escape from this base. I don't know if Bishop maybe wants to set up a couple siege tanks down here and send the Goliaths, then everybody dies. There we go. That's what he's doing. So the Hydras are trying to maybe deny this 4th base for a minute, but this is not going well. Yeah, so the Hydras are all dead, and the base lands no problem. But look at this setup here. We just have little groups of Hydras all across the middle of the map. Another expansion is done for him on the bottom side. This is just Hum's game. I don't know what to tell you else about this, but it is definitely Hum's game. He's finally getting metabolic boost at 19 minutes, which is hilarious. And then the queens. The queens, though. We don't have a sunken yet. Those drones. Vulture's on a bit of a rampage. Oh, they burrow the drones. They're going to scan? Nope, killing larvae with their big swings and their explosive damage type. Alright, so they get cleaned out. Maybe a little bit more effort than was necessary, but expanding again would not be cool. EMP Shockwave coming in here from Bishop as well, and Hum's maxed out. So, what's the plan here, dude? Try to queen down as many of the tanks as you can, and then just win with Hydras. Yeah, I like this fourth base from Bishop. He hasn't retaken the third at all, which is not a huge deal for him. A handful of Lings down here. I mean, Hum is Mac. Okay, now he's going. It is time to go, ladies and gentlemen. The Queens are jumping in, trying to see if there's any tanks to kill. Can't find any. There we go. And Queens are dying, but okay. Couple tanks go down. 2 tanks go down. Is it enough is the question. Spider Mine's getting some decent hits off of there as well. So backing out against the siege tank fire. Yeah, and against the Spider Mine hits. That is not crazy ideal. We're making 18 more Hydralisks to replace our losses. Two and upgrades on the Hydralisk. The siege tanks are at 2-2. And yeah, this is kind of the ideal situation for Bishop a little bit, is if the Hydras kind of continue to crash into here and lose numbers over and over again, and then it's just cost-efficient trading. For Bishop, it has to be really cost-efficient to make up for the fact that he's about half the base count of what Hum is right now. We're still kind of wandering into tank... Yeah, we're still wandering into tank lines here a little bit. Maybe freeing up supply for more Queens. That's what we need. That's what we're struggling against this turtling Terran for, is more Queens. Yeah, it's 150 to cast Spawn Broodling, and your max energy, even with the upgrade, is 250. So do the maths, people. I'm going to try to drop. No. We're just kind of moving in. If you can get this fourth base, that'd be a good victory. Dude, the tanks repositioned up to the north, and now the attack is coming to the south. Siege tank down, siege tank down. If the Hydras can get up this ramp, which they definitely can... this is going to be bad news here. Was that Goliath red for some reason? Yeah, I mean, Bishop, that was a beautiful attack, well executed from Hum. He came to the south after he moved all the tanks to the north. This is dead. The SCVs are dead. Some Hydras are going to escape. Not all the Hydras are going to escape, but they did their duty. And they're taking Bishop down, my goodness, to like 30-something SCVs. Trying to come up here and deal with it, but man, these Goliaths are just dying. They have to come up one at a time. Chokes definitely cause problems here. Finish off the command center. Kill the SCVs. There you go. Down to 31 SCVs. The command center dies. The Hydras are dead, but that is a job well done for them. And that's it. That is all she wrote. All right, so Adrenal Gland's on the way. It's 178 to 113 supply right now. The income is greatly reduced for Bishop. He effectively has 1 mining base against how? Just 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 6, 7. You can make an 8th one here if you wanted. I mean, this is just, I have more money, and I can continue to throw armies at you until you die. Queens dropping them spawn broodlings out all over them tanks. It's not mass queen, you'll notice, but you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them coming in, doing their work. Tank count still fairly high, and the Hydras have to back out, but guess you can replace those losses much more easily. It's he has a bank. Bishop does not. He's making 8 Hydras at a time. He's back up to 158 already. 18 Hydras at a time. I apologize. And Adrenal, which would honestly, Lings up close to this is going to be good, but getting close is going to be hard with the siege tanks in siege mode. So Bishop says, I gotta go. It is time to move out. And all right, says this is a less defensible position than the high ground you had previously. We got defensive matrix up on a siege tank. The Hydras are kind of just wandering through here. taking huge losses with their 2-2 upgrades because the 3 attack is done. Friendly Fire Splash takes down that siege tank, but once again, making 7 more Hydras. Bishop has 300 gas in the bank. His units don't build as quickly as Hydralisks do. There is actually a queen in here with enough energy, a couple of them in here, enough energy for a spawn broodling. We really haven't seen any irradiates on the queens either, which is a little bit odd, but it wasn't enough Hydras, but then the spawn broodling, and that's your GG. Okay, well, there you go. So that is a game wherein queens totally win against a Terran who's going mech. A rarity to be sure, but it helps when you also drop your Terran down to effectively 1 mining base at 20 minutes. And then suddenly your ability to kill them with queens and pretty much whatever else you want is going to be a lot better. So yeah, Bishop did not move out as much as he needed to there. I mean, he did. He did have a pretty nice push going in the middle, but Home's ability to get that 360 surround was sick. It was so sick, and that just changed the tide of the whole game. Bishop had to replace his tank count. I mean, he couldn't get anywhere close to up here or over here, or I mean, ideally here. He couldn't get close to any of the spots that he wanted to. He just got surrounded and murdered and had to lick his wounds going back home. And then his third base was undefended. That died, and that was pretty much it. I mean, from that point on, it was basically a foregone conclusion that a good player would be able to close it out there, and Home is a good player and pulled it out there. 187,000 points there from Bishop, 192 from Home. He gets the win, outproduced the Terran by about a 2-to-1 margin there. Kill death ratio was pretty respectable by Bishop, but just too much Zerg on the ground. No buildings died for the Zerg player today, which is insane. And then outspending your opponent by about 10,000 resources in 25 minutes will do it. It'll do it for you against a meching Terran, especially if you're that good. So well done indeed. And that's going to be it from me. So this has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered and a Patreon cast. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching. You take care of yourself.